Okay, all right. This is our 8-week leadership class, week 1. Super excited to be here. And I know some people are going to have to watch the recording, but that's the beauty of technology. If you're on live, you can use the chat at any point to comment or say something. Oh, I meant to put exclamation points. Hi. Okay, so there's the chat, and we're going to kick off this first week. Well, the whole plan for this program, we just went through this with another group, an 8-week class, and I based a lot of the calls on this amazing book that we've been reading, How to Be a Direct Selling Superstar by Mary Christensen. All of the directors did a book study with this, and the managers are working through it, and it's just been, I mean, I would venture to even say life-changing, but I mean, that seems like a big declaration, but it's been confirming. It's been just really powerful, practical, and helpful in understanding the industry that we're a part of and how powerful this business model is, and that Trades of Hope is unique within that industry, but also not immune to it. And a lot of it's about numbers and that sort of thing. Hey, Jenny. And so it's been really cool to, wrap my head around this business and how powerful it is, and then how powerful we can make it even more for our mission, what we're trying to do. So this first week, we kind of have to start with you. And actually, for the next 8 weeks, it's really this whole 8 weeks is as much about you, more about you than anybody else. Even though it's a leadership course, being a leader is really about knowing who you are and knowing your strengths and your weaknesses and areas that you want to grow in, and putting on your oxygen mask first before you can put it on someone else. And so we're going to start with goal setting, which is such an interesting topic to me, because I've gone like the spectrum of goal settings. Like I've thought about goals as like the ultimate thing, like you must have a goal. And then I read Josh Medcalf's Hustle book, and he has another book called Burn Your Goals, and he talks like kind of the other end, like you shouldn't have goals. And I'm like, well, where do you, and then there's the quote, if you're aiming for nothing, you'll hit it every time. Like, so there's a lot of ideas about goals and how to frame them and what they look like. And most recently I have, and really it has to do with Mary Christensen's perspective on goals, this kind of in the middle place with goals that I think works so much better for me. And really, it's because goals have to be extremely personal. If your goal is not about you and about something that really matters to you, then it's not a good goal, and it's not going to be a good motivator for getting you where you want to go. So I hear a lot of people say that their goal is to become a master CE, or their goal is to even a smart start, getting those baby chicks, or their goal is, becoming a director. And these are things that for years I've sort of said, okay, that's a good goal. Let's go for that. But I've realized that there's not enough heart connection. There's not enough skin in the game with, somebody saying they want to be a master CE. That's a very kind of sterile, sort of arbitrary thing that's out there and doesn't really connect with anything that's personal. And so I'm starting to realize that those are not actually good goals. Those are strategies and ways to achieve the goal that you want. And I think it's really important as a leader to have a clear goal, because that's how you help others determine theirs. And so it's got to start with you. People also say that, I just want to help my team. I just want to support my team. Again, that's not a goal. That's not about you. It has to be something personal. That's a strategy for achieving your goal, and helping others achieve their dreams and their goals will help you achieve your goal. But that can't be your goal. Does that make sense? So you can't say that my goal is helping others. We do get what we want. We do achieve our goals by helping others get what they want. But to be an inspiring leader, you must be an inspired person. You have to be inspired by your own personal goals and the things that are driving you to then inspire others to do that. So some steps to determining a good goal. So step one, your goal has to make your heart leap. When you think about it, it has to make you just kind of like catch your breath and, be like, oh, yes, that's it. That's the thing that I want for myself or for my family or for my kids. I find that most of the things that make my heart leap have to do with my family, my kids, and me, our little world, our little unit. Those are the things that make my heart leap. So if your current goal, when I said, what's your goal, and it popped into your head, oh, I want to be a master CE. Does that really make your heart beat faster? Does that really thrill you and even maybe even bring tears to your eyes? Maybe not. So if you want to determine what that is, then you might need to do a little brainstorming. So step 2 would be to brainstorm a little bit. Ask yourself some questions about, things that could be different in your life and how that makes you feel. So what would you do with an extra $1,000? What would you do with an extra $1,000 a week? What would you do? Think about your car situation. I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of time in my car. I live in my car. I'm in my car more basically than I'm in my house, awake. So, maybe your car is causing a lot of stress and strain for your family and would bring you a lot of joy to have a new one. Maybe there's a trip that I want to take my kids to a dude ranch. That is a big, we've been talking about that since before we had kids. We want to take them to, there's a dude ranch called Moosehead up in Wyoming that I want to take them to. They need to be a little bit older and it's really expensive. But I just think that would be amazing. It'd be so good for my boys, so fun for us as a family. So is there a trip that you're just like, yes, oh my gosh, I want to cry thinking about taking my family to do that? Is there something in your home that currently maybe causes you stress and strain that you would love to change? My home feeds my emotions, good and bad sometimes. The state of my home often reflects the state of my life and brain and heart. And so when I started to have my house clean, on a regular basis, it removed a lot of stress. I started to be a happier person because my house was clean. Or I knew somebody was coming very soon to clean it. Things like that. Maybe it's your bathroom. Maybe you walk into your master bathroom or your kid's bathroom every day and you're just claustrophobic, you hate it so much that you almost don't want to walk in there. Everybody has things like that so maybe that goal is renovating that bathroom. Think about, does that make your heart beat faster because you think about, what if it was bright and airy and open? Or what if we got rid of this horrible, sink and cabinet situation? What if you had a double vanity? I mean, imagine the strain of marriages, and the joy that you could actually have in your marriage if you had a double vanity. Maybe you have credit card debt. Now, the credit card debt itself probably doesn't make your heart beat faster except for maybe causing stress. But the idea of it being gone, maybe that brings tears to your eyes. I'll never forget when I first got married, that was probably the only time in my life that I actually had some credit card debt. It was when I was young and just out of college. And it caused me a lot of stress. And I'll never forget, Justin and I were going to our wedding, our marriage preparation classes. And, one of the classes talks, you talk a lot about finances. It's an important thing to talk about as an engaged couple. And I remember talking about debt, and we were in a small group discussing, and I said something about my credit card debt, and Justin looked at me and he was like, well, your debt will be my debt. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, we're getting married. Your debt will be mine. That was the only time I cried during the whole marriage preparation, was when he told me he was going to take on my credit card debt. And I realized it was such a strain for me. And to know that there was going to be a solution, filled me up with so much joy. So credit card debt can be a very emotional thing. And to think that you could alleviate that or reduce it with your business, that might be the goal that makes your heart beat faster and makes you want to cry. And that's a good goal. Maybe your family just has a dream, something that you've always talked about doing together as a family. Maybe you just have something, a personal wish that you want to fulfill, something you've just always wanted to do, and you've put off and sacrificed for other things that took priority. This is the time you have a business that can make that wish come true. Oop. And it is not guilt. It's not selfish. It should not create guilt for you. It's going to be the thing that makes you a good leader, makes you successful, because it's so connected to your heart and your core. And you won't quit because you want that thing to come true, because it's that important to you. So that's all kind of brainstorming things. So hopefully that's triggering some ideas, giving you some things to think about. Step 3 would be to not confuse a goal with a strategy. So promoting to the next level in rank in a compensation plan is not a goal. It's a strategy to help you achieve your goal. A lot of your goal probably has to do with finances. It has to do with bringing in more income so that you can do the thing that makes your heart beat faster, or even quit the job or pay off the credit card debt, whatever it is. The strategy to do that is to build a team, to understand your compensation plan, to move through it, which is why next week we're going to talk about the compensation plan. Step 4, you want to make sure that you've only got one goal. There might be like 10 things that came to mind when you were brainstorming, but you got to really hone it down and make it one goal. 1 year to 6 months, or 6 months to a year is your time frame, no longer than a year. And it's one step at a time. So the goal is your compass, and you need it to be laser focused, because otherwise you're dividing your energies and you become scattered, and that's when goals get missed. So it's got to be one goal, 1 year or half a year, one step at a time to achieve it. You got to give it the thrill test. Does it make your heart beat faster? Does it give you the most satisfaction to think about achieving? Does it make your eyes shine brighter? You got to give it the logic test. You know, which goal makes more sense if you're deciding between two, or which one is the most logical for my family or for me? And then the urgency test. Is there a time frame to this goal? Does it expire? Is there, is it something that you just can't afford to pass up right now? So then that takes precedence. So if you're looking at a list of like 5 or 6 things that you're thinking, maybe one of these is my goal, give it those tests: the thrill test, the logic test, and the urgency test. Step 5 is to be true to yourself. And this is really important. I think it sounds kind of obvious, but goals are really, really personal. And if they're not personal, and if you don't have that almost like, not fear, but like that little moment of apprehension before you say it out loud, then it probably isn't deep enough and personal enough. But you cannot allow your fear of judgment to hold you back from having a goal. You cannot make a goal for someone else. You cannot make a goal that you think you're supposed to have. And that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing for women. It's a hard thing for me. I've struggled a lot with like feeling judged or feeling misunderstood, and wanting to make sure that my intentions were clear, and that my messages were clear, and that people thought I was a good person. And that's hard. And sometimes you immediately feel like, well, maybe my goal, maybe I shouldn't share it because somebody might misunderstand or somebody might judge me for it, when it really is the thing that you want to achieve. And so for me, my goal for this year, I haven't said out loud a lot. I shared it in the last leadership calls, or the last leadership class 8 weeks ago. So it's actually made it a little easier to say it now. But my goal for 2017 was to make $100,000, to have a 6-figure income. That was my goal. I knew that was my goal from the very beginning. I didn't tell anybody but my husband. And what was hard for me was that it sounds on the outset like well, that's kind of empty and shallow. And why would she make that her goal? But it's the culmination of a lot of things. I mean, my career as a teacher, and most teachers will tell you, I mean, it's like a badge of honor that we wear, that we do it because we love it. We do it because it's a calling. We do it because, it's what we were created to do. We're passionate, about forming young minds and passionate about our subject matters. But it certainly wasn't for the money. Nobody goes into teaching because they want to have 6-figure income, because that's just not what you do. And I was okay with that. I was okay with, thankfully I married someone who made good money, and I didn't have to worry about being a teacher, and I could just pursue my dreams and wear my badge of not making any money proudly. And I thought that was okay. And then I discovered Trades of Hope and started to learn more about direct sales, and, and I had that's what kind of wooed me into my first direct sales experience, with somebody that was making a ton of money and driving a fancy car and, taking the trips and doing all that. And I was like, well, I don't want that. Like, that's not how I want to, if I'm going to make money, I don't want to do that. That was really icky to me. So what I have found with Trades of Hope is that you can have both. You can have the kind of work that teaching was, that calling on your life, that I was made for this. I am passionate about this. It's about forming, not forming young minds anymore, but forming women and developing leaders and pouring into teams and making people believe in themselves and achieve things that they didn't think they could achieve, and changing the world and job creation. It's about all of those amazing things, but then it can also be about having life-changing income. A 6-figure income is, to me, I never thought that would be something I would do, because I thought I was going to be a teacher for my whole life. And so to think that and really with Trades of Hope, I just want to make it true. And that was what the goal really was all about. I wanted it to be, you don't have to make a choice between one or the other. If you want to make really, really good money and change your family's life, you can do that. You don't have to go sell makeup or skincare or supplements. You can do it with Trades of Hope. You can sell products that change lives and create jobs, and have that total passion and soul-filling work, and make the same kind of money that somebody selling something that you don't feel that heart connection to can make. And so for me, I wanted to make it true. And that's been my goal this year, so that somebody could say, just kind of like becoming a national executive director, like that was always like a pie in the sky. Like nobody had done it, so it wasn't really true, And so now that I've done that, it's like, okay, I made that true. Somebody can actually do that. So now this was my next thing that I wanted to make true. And so that's what it was about. It wasn't necessarily about the number. It was about making something true. And that was very personal for me. That was thrilling for me. That made my eyes brighter. That makes me connected to this work. And one day at a time, one goal, 1 year, that's what I set my sights on. So if I can share mine, you can share yours. You can find the goal that is truly personal, even if it makes you uncomfortable to say it out loud. You cannot fear judgment, because you'll know when it's the right goal for you. And ultimately, this is your business. This is your life, and you get to make that choice. Step 6 is picture yourself achieving the goal. You got to visualize. I love visualization. It's such a powerful thing, self-fulfilling prophecy, believing, seeing yourself, I tell my son all the time, he plays baseball. You got to see yourself hitting the ball. You got to see yourself scoring the home run. You got to see yourself catching the ball when it's a pop fly. Like, you got to believe that and feel how it will feel. And when you know what you want, you make things happen to get there. And when you don't know what you want, then you run the risk of spending a lot of time waiting for something to happen. So know what you want, visualize yourself achieving it, and then make it happen. Step 7 is the goal realistic? Am I prepared to put in the time and the effort that it takes? you can want something super bad. I could say all day long that I want, you know, a certain level of income, but if I'm not willing to work for it, I won't ever achieve it. So that's not a realistic goal. It's got to be something that you're willing to put in the time that it takes. And you also have to believe that not only do you want it, that you deserve it, that you can do it, and that you will do it. And when you combine those feelings into a goal that lights your heart up, then you're ready to really begin. And then you're ready to look at a compensation plan and say, okay, this is a roadmap. My goal is my compass. This is my map and strategy for getting where I want to go. So thank you, Danielle, for being on the call. That was like a private lesson for you. But what I'm going to do is I've recorded this, and so I'm going to post this on YouTube and then post it over on the leadership page and ask everybody to kind of dig into those steps and then share their goal. And it might be something new. It might be something like you might have thought you knew what your goal was, but then after hearing this, you might make some adjustments. I would love for everybody to share kind of something that you want from now until the end of the year. And that's not even 6 months from now, but, you know, really like, well, it's just November and December, well, whatever, but from now until the end of the year, but then really kind of prepping for what you want your new goal to be in January. Because that is kind of a good mark for a fresh start and a new year. So yeah, thank you so much for being on and getting up in California and being here. It's not quite so early as the last one, so maybe that'll help a little bit.
It's still early for me because I'm a night owl.
Yeah.
That's when I do my clear thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 o'clock. I mean, it sounds kind of embarrassing that 7 o'clock is early for me, but
hey, everybody's made differently. So yeah. I was up too late last night because my wheels were spinning. But I kind of do both. I burn the candle on both ends. So I stay up too late and I get up really early because I like to do work in the morning too. So I don't know. You got it. But you're here, and that's awesome. And you looked so beautiful at that gala event. You and your husband, that picture is so cute. That's like my favorite picture I've seen of you in a long time. So
thank you.
All right, I'm going to stop this recording.